We have all types of different NASCAR news today. We have some, I guess you could call it minor news about some sponsorship extensions. Then we have some pretty decently big news about the future of NASCAR racing and a certain track that NASCAR might go to that's not actually a track. And then we have a nuclear bomb of news, the next gen car. There was a picture that was leaked of it. We will look at that later. But first, let's start off with some of the smaller news today. And then we will slowly build our news mountain about NASCAR news today. Today has been a pretty big news day. The first thing I want to talk about is the Hendrick Motorsports Valvoline extension. Hendrick Motorsports and Valvoline have been partners for quite a while now. In the past couple of years, they've sponsored Alex Bowman in the 88 car as the primary sponsor. But with Bowman going to the 48 and getting full-time sponsorship from Ally, Valvoline has still been an associate sponsor with Hendrick Motorsports, but they just announced today that they would be sponsoring two of the Hendrick Motorsports drivers this year. They would be sponsoring William Byron in the 24, and they would be sponsoring Kyle Larson in the 5. Of course, Kyle Larson is currently being sponsored by Rick Hendrick himself with Hendrick Cars and Nations Guard earlier in the year because, of course, of his controversy that he brought in with using a racial slur. So sponsors weren't immediately on board with him. So he's had very limited sponsorship outside of Rick Hendrick. So this is a big step for him, obviously. But Valvoline and Hendrick have been together a while now. Valvoline will be sponsoring Kyle Larson alongside William Byron. In fact, William Byron already has his paint scheme for the Darlington Throwback race. The throwback scheme will be throwing back to Neil Bonnet, I believe. You're looking at it over my face, but NBC picked the wrong picture when they did their little graphic. So here's a picture of the actual car. But yeah, that's that. But let's see. Kyle Larson will have Valvoline as the primary sponsor at Nashville Superspeedway, August 28th at Daytona, September 18th in the playoff race at Bristol, so the Bristol Night Race, and then Byron will have it at the Darlington Throwback Race in a couple of weeks, and also at the Charlotte Roval in October. So usually Valvoline would do about 2 to 3 races a year with Bowman, and that would be about it, but they're going to do 5 total races between 2 drivers, so actually, expanding their sponsorship a bit. They used to only do a couple races, now they're doing double the races that they used to do, so good for them. But yeah, just a quick little news about that. They also announced with Larson, Valvoline said to mark its first race with Larson, Valvoline will make a gift to the Kyle Larson Foundation, which the driver launched in March. At Nashville, the sponsor, which is Valvoline, of course, will donate $5 for each lap he completes and an additional $5,000 for a top 5 finish by the number 5 team. So that's pretty cool of them. But yeah, let's go to the next news, which is significantly bigger in my opinion. NASCAR could be on a street circuit in the very near future. You heard me right. When we hear street circuits in NASCAR, we're like, well, where are street circuits in NASCAR? There are none. All the road courses are closed circuits. We've got the Daytona Road Course, the Charlotte Roval, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Circuit of the Americas, Road America. These are all closed circuits. Racetracks built to be racetracks. Street circuits are different. Street circuits are exactly what they sound like. It's a racetrack that you race, but it is in the streets of a town, a city, whatever it may be. Some examples of this in other types of racing. In Formula One, you have the Monaco Grand Prix, which is run through the streets of Monaco. They also run street circuit in Azerbaijan, I think. And then in IndyCar just added this year a street circuit in Nashville. They will be running through the streets of Nashville this year. And NASCAR is looking to add a street circuit in the Cup Series. They have in their, I think, according to Matt Weaver, I think it was the Pinty Series. That, let me check here. Yeah, it says NASCAR's Pinty Series, Toronto and Troy Rivieras. I probably pronounced that wrong. That is where they have run street circuits in terms of NASCAR, but the Cup Series has not run a street circuit, and they are currently looking at Chicago. A few weeks ago, it was announced that Chicago would be added to the iRacing sim, the Chicago Street Course. That is, here's a map of it. Here's just kind of a look over of the track shape. I don't know the street names. I don't know, but apparently it's a pretty important part of Chicago. Some historic streets, some historic architecture around there. Some of the buildings around there are well known in the Chicago area, so that would be a big deal for NASCAR to do a street circuit, not just in any major city. Chicago, one of the biggest cities in the United States, but to also do it in a significant part of Chicago that a lot of people know. That would be a big deal. You know, they've shown this year especially that they're willing to go to more road courses. Fans have been pushing for more short tracks, more road courses, and NASCAR listened on the road courses side, and we went from 3 road courses a year to 7 road courses in a year. So NASCAR has been listening from that perspective, and they are looking to get a deal with the city of Chicago to run a street course. They would shut down the streets for a weekend, or however long it takes them to set up, and they would run a race in downtown Chicago, I think. iRacing, as I said, made this earlier. They're going to do the Pro Invitational event with all the Cup Series top drivers racing in that race at the beginning of June, I believe. That's when we're going to see the Chicago Street Race. But according to Adam Stern, the earliest it would happen is 2022, but planning is still in the early to middle stages, so it's possible that the project could get delayed. So I don't know how long the delay would be. I don't know if it'd be like 2023, if it gets pushed back a year, if it gets pushed back 2 years or 5 years. I don't know how long that means, but I love it. I personally love it. I love different types of racetracks, and when it comes to the road courses, I love to see different types of tracks. I love to see different types of elevations for certain racetracks, like Circuit of the Americas. Turn 1, you go like this, and then you immediately go like this into turn 2. So elevation changes is one thing, but another thing is like what's around the track. What is there? There's some tracks that are beautiful. Watkins Glen. The scenery around Watkins Glen is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. The trees, the nature, it's just all incredible there. And then, you know, for a street circuit, you'd want something cool around the track, something that could attract fans, attract viewers, and then also making a good racetrack that shows good racing. I think that's another significant part of having a good street circuit. And then obviously the city itself. You don't want to go to some small city that no one ever goes to in the middle of nowhere that has nothing around it. And so fans would have to travel from really far. No one wants to do that. You got to do a major city. Chicago is a great opportunity for that. Chicago is a big city that they're looking at. If they wanted to do a different city, Las Vegas, you know, I don't know, Miami, something like that. But streets, I love it. I love that they're looking at Chicago. I love that they're looking at a street circuit. Matt Weaver, who I mentioned earlier, wrote an article a couple of weeks ago about street circuits and asked some NASCAR drivers, some team owners about street circuits. Roger Penske, Brad Keselowski, AJ Allmendinger. And Allmendinger said something that I really agree with and I think is a really good point. He said if NASCAR is to add a street circuit, that they can't overdo it. Like, make it unique, make it special, make it exciting. Make this like the one time a year we get to see something extremely unique, extremely cool. Don't do too much of it. You know, make it special. Make it a special event like the Charlotte Roval, like the Bristol Dirt Race. We go to the Roval once a year and everyone loves that race. It's a unique racetrack. It's a unique type of race because it's a road course, but you run probably 60-70% of the oval portion of the racetrack, which makes it so unique from that perspective. And then with the Bristol Dirt, I don't even have to explain how that's unique. It's on freaking dirt. So a street course would be extremely unique, extremely cool. And Allmendinger's got a point. If you do too many of that, it kind of takes out the uniqueness, the specialness of that race if you were to overdo it. So like, let's say they did... Oh man, they got the Charlotte Roval. If we ran the Charlotte Roval 5 times a year, or we ran Rovals at other tracks like a Texas Atlanta Roval or something, if we started doing that every other week, the Charlotte Roval would lose all its specialness, all its the unique aspects of that track we would lose because we'd see it every other week at a different Roval. And I think that's a really good point. If we do this, I think it should be the 1 or at most 2 street circuits that we should run. But they should be in big cities, and I think Chicago is a great destination. We've lost Chicagoland currently on the Cup Series schedule, and so, you know, all the fans around there have lost their home track, I guess, and putting a race in downtown Chicago, it's going to cause some problems, I'm sure, traffic-wise for the city, for some people's jobs in terms of like getting to work and stuff. But I think it would be great for NASCAR. I think it'd fun. I think it would attract a lot of new fans around that area, just to be like, oh, they're shutting down the roads for NASCAR. Might as well go get a ticket. Might as well go see it. So I think that would be a really unique experience for those fans up there, but also for people going to the race, and then of course the drivers, the circuit itself. So I think that would be a really exciting opportunity for NASCAR. I think they should definitely go for it, at least test it out, but don't overdo it. Next up, we have the next-gen car. A picture has been leaked. It was supposed to be released next week. The next-gen car would be shown to everybody in the world. Everyone would see the next-gen car. They would see each manufacturer, the Chevy, the Toyota, the Ford. We would see it. We'd be like, oh my gosh, it's epic, or oh my gosh, it sucks. And someone leaked it. That person is probably going to get fired because NASCAR definitely wanted to keep this under wraps. In fact, on their Twitter page, a bunch of people were responding to their post that was not even related to the next gen. They were like, OMG, we saw your new car, LOL. And NASCAR hid the replies. So safe to say NASCAR does not want people seeing the next gen car already. So whoever took that picture, if they work for NASCAR, they're most likely fired because NASCAR did not want to get this leaked. This was their big reveal. They were hyping this up. Everyone's been hyping up this car. It's the next gen car. We're going to have new racing, great racing. It's going to be the change that saves NASCAR. But then someone leaked it, and it's like the hype has just kind of been like, LOL, get memed. Someone released the picture. But I'm going to try my best. I'm an amateur, I guess, in terms of cars, and I'm just a fan who made a YouTube channel, but let's try to overanalyze this picture. So we see the Chevrolet right there. The front of the car looks about the same in terms of the Chevrolet nose that we see today, the Camaro look. But as for everything else, that looks about like what they tested. You know, the back end is a little bit shorter. That looks like the next-gen car. I really don't know what to say on that. I can't even see the spoiler. It's such a blurry picture, so I couldn't even tell you if it's tall, if it's short. I mean, it looks kind of medium there. It doesn't look like a Talladega spoiler. Obviously, I can tell you the horsepower. And then as for the Ford looks different. Like, that looks like a tiny car compared to what we have today. The windshield looks small. The roof looks small. The body looks kind of wide, and it looks short. I don't know how else to say it. It looks like there's some distance between the ground and the car. I can't even see a spoiler. And that doesn't even look like a Mustang. Like, you can see Mustang on the top of the roof, like on top of the windshield and the roof. You can kind of see that. But yeah, so as for this, I mean, the spoiler I can kind of see on the Chevrolet, but it doesn't look big. Everyone these days screams, like, we want the small spoilers. Oh, that's the perfect race car. But no, the 2018 car with the small spoilers was not the best racing. I think the 2014 package was the best package of the Gen 6. I think a lot of people agree with that, but, you know, you're never going to get a perfect race car with perfect racing, but, you know, they look cool. The Chevrolet nose looks about the same as today's. So, you know, I'm sure we'll get different angles and it'll look different from there. The Ford looks completely different. Like, I did not expect that. That is not something I expected to see, but I'm sure NASCAR is not thrilled that this picture got released. They're like, oh my gosh, you released that. They're going to get fired. I don't know who took the picture. I don't know if it was some social media man. The picture's too blurry for it to be like an official picture. I don't know if some guy was just walking by and said, oh, cool race car, snapped a picture and then like tweeted it or what. I don't know who took that picture, but it's there. It's out there. If NASCAR makes me take down this video, that would be an oof, but it's out there. Everyone knows it now. Next gen car, the single lug nuts are there. I really don't know what else to say other than it looks like the next gen car with the current Chevrolet nose and a car that doesn't really look like a Mustang. But yeah, hopefully it's a good car. It's getting released next week. Officially, we're going to see every single inch of that car. The Toyota, the Ford, the Chevrolet. And I think we get the details too about, you know, like the aero package and stuff. But I don't know. But I thought that was cool. I thought that was interesting. Someone's going to get fired for that, though, I bet. We see the splitter on the Chevrolet, so it looks like they're keeping the splitter. I don't know the horsepower. I don't know if they're going to have different cars for different tracks like they do now. Like the super speedway has a different body and a different engine in terms of like the back bumper and then the spoiler. Then we have a different spoiler for short tracks, a different engine package. I don't know if they're going to do that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But man, I just don't want the current package on the next gen car in terms of the intermediate tracks. I hate that package so much. Like, the 2018 package wasn't perfect in terms of racing on the intermediates, but just something that's not this. I'd rather see the drivers drive the cars and like actually have to work at it and win by 15 seconds than see Kevin Harvick get stuck behind Joey Logano in dirty air because he can't pass him because there's a bubble because of a spoiler. Anyways, I think that's it. I think I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. This was a little bit of a longer video because we had two major topics to talk about: the next gen car and the released picture. And it's oh my gosh, it got leaked. Someone's gonna get fired for that. I feel so bad for him, but man, NASCAR's not gonna be thrilled with that. The official release is next week on May 5th. And then the street circuit, we talked about that and how fun it would be, how unique it would be, but NASCAR cannot overdo it in my opinion. If you overdo the street circuits, it could ruin the fun of it. And then as for the Valvoline thing, sponsor that's been with Hendrick is now sponsoring two Hendrick drivers. Is a bigger deal for Larson than it is for Willie B. But yeah, fun times, fun topics. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I was on TV last night. The clip was actually released onto NASCAR and NBC's YouTube page. I'll put that in the description. I was on TV for about 10 seconds asking Matt DiBenedetto a question. If you want to see my view, I tried to make it somewhat funny, somewhat decent. I did some editing to it. I released that video yesterday, but go check that out. Yeah, I was on TV. That was kind of cool, but hope you guys have a great rest of your day.